The title of our presentation is how sfinx, so our new IT finance solution, complements the better together story of ServiceNow SPM and enterprise architecture and make it even better. Okay, I'm happy to have this presentation together with Thomas Deuser. We will briefly introduce ourselves. So I'm one of the managing directors from PlanHorizon, computer science background, long time in PPM and EA area, active. And yeah, Thomas, over to you.
Yeah, so my name is Thomas. Nice to meet you all. I've been working in consulting for the last 20 years, out of which the last 15 in IT financial management. We came across the topic around 2009, where we did the very first TBM project. TBM, for those who are not yet familiar with the topic, is called Technology Business Management. It's an industry standard on how to run IT from a commercial perspective, and it provides certain best practices. And since then, my team and we have been working on this for large, well-known customers around Europe, across various different industries, from banking to manufacturing to public, different IT sizes up to the largest banks with roughly 2 billion of IT spend. And yeah, we're great to be here today. Thanks for the invitation.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we start with our presentation. We have prepared 3 little topics that build on each other. So we are starting out with looking at enterprise architecture and SPM and where they need financial information, in their key use cases. Then we will introduce sfinx, an IT finance solution that have been built by us. It is available in the App Store, completely based on ServiceNow, and explain a little bit more on that and how it complements to SPM and EA. And then basically we will talk about the better together story, where the things connect and where you have really good synergy effects from using all of the 3 modules. Yeah. All right. Starting out and looking at enterprise architecture and strategic portfolio management. And I think we have seen during the conference today already similar slides and views in the different talks we heard. Both modules are about strategies and helping enterprises make good strategic decisions and supporting them. Yeah. On the enterprise architecture side, we basically look at our inventory of business applications and check, okay, how do they fit in our capability landscape? What is the underlying technology portfolio? Which elements do we have in there? Which life cycles do they have? And we analyze the portfolio and try to make good portfolio decisions. Yeah. And just as we have heard earlier today, this analysis of the portfolio is mainly driven by indicators that are provided by ServiceNow, like what is the functional fit, what is the technical fit, what is the user satisfaction of certain applications. And this drives our decision-making in the enterprise architecture space. And there's one element I haven't talked about, but which is also important in this context, and maybe sometimes a bit underestimated. This is the application TCO piece. So we also want to have financial information to justify our decisions on how we want to develop our enterprise architecture landscape. Yeah. And if we do that, we make portfolio decisions, and then we come to the right side of the slide. We typically plan new investments that we can directly integrate in our roadmap. We can plan new projects that change our application landscape. Yeah, we can modernize it. We can retire things. We can migrate applications. All of the stuff that needs to be done. And this typically the changes of our landscape is driven by SPM, and the strategic portfolio management. So we can align it to our roadmap. We can fund those projects. We can execute them. We can deliver them. And in the end, we will, on this closes the cycle here on this slide, we will typically update or retire. We change our business application inventory and maybe also the technical landscape underneath. But if you look a bit on where in this process we talk about financials and financial information, yeah, I've already said it. We have it on the application TCO side, on the enterprise architecture. We have it if you look in the underlying technologies in our software products. And we have it, of course, in SPM, more or less end-to-end for the whole project world. We can manage our project budgets, project costs, and so on and so on. So the key use cases of both modules typically rely on financial information, but we have a lag on that we have a consistent source where we can feed financial information in the organization from our IT budgetary planning into both of those modules. And this is a moment where I hand over to Thomas and we go deeper into this story.
Yeah. Good. So as Thomas pointed out, yeah, we need to have a proper source of financial information. This is one of the reasons we started to think about a new solution, and which you see here called the sfinx. Yeah, and sfinx is there to not only provide the financial information, but to completely manage IT finance in a consistent way. You see here in the circles in the middle the different personas that are involved. Yeah, be it IT controllers, resource managers, cost center owners, service owners, project managers, architects, but also IT leaders and the business leaders. They also need information and data around the financials. And at IT, not only on the cost, but also in the financial context of for what are my costs for a service, what are the costs of an application, what's the cost of my servers, or what are the costs of my business capabilities. And in sfinx, we have an integrated framework that covers various use cases around planning, controlling, service costing, but then also understanding who's consuming which services, which then inform a demand-based charging or a showback concept. Which is then feeding again into, hey, I understand what I'm paying for. So what's my demand going forward based on my current consumption, that I can leverage that information that then flows back into my planning of my services, or how we call it here, the supply. Yeah, and therefore we have developed 5 modules in sfinx. The first one on the right-hand side at the bottom, it's IT financial management. So this is a way of how you create a plan or a budget. How do you connect it with your actuals, and how do you derive a forecast in a consistent way? And this is then complemented by 2 other modules, the external spend management and the workforce management. So it's not only relevant how much your budget is, but you also need to understand your commitments. So you need to understand your commitments in the sense of contracts. And this is especially relevant in IT, where you have many different supplier relationships in your value chain. And you need to understand, if you make a decision, how will my cost actually change? Will they go up? Will they go down? Yeah, when will they react? So therefore, you need to understand the underlying contracts and commitments that you have given. And similarly, the workforce in the IT space is also highly relevant. So you need to understand who are your internal and external employees, how much do they cost, what are they actually working on? Are they working on value-adding activities, or maybe activities that are not so much value-adding? Yeah, and then based on top of this, we have developed a service costing capability, which is aligned to the technology business management framework, that you can then calculate the total cost of ownership, or the full cost of your services, of your applications, of your technology stacks, and then feed it into a showback or chargeback methodology, where you then expose the cost to your consumers according to their demand or according to their consumption. Yeah, and this is all happening in the ServiceNow platform. And of course, this information is then linked to SPM and the EA world. And let's show you quickly how this conceptually works in a nutshell on the next page. So as Thomas has pointed out, we have enterprise architecture and a strategic portfolio part. And then at the bottom, you see sfinx for the financial management. And how does it work? So basically, in enterprise architecture, you have your current stack when it comes to applications, when it comes to technologies, servers, infrastructure, hardware, databases, whatever it is. And these inventory are then fed into the sfinx solution. And sfinx takes it to calculate then the TCO per service, per application, or per business capability, or the cost per IT or technology stack. And with this, you have a full understanding of your current as-is situation, not only from a technology perspective, but also from a cost perspective. Because if you're planning new investments, you want to modernize your applications or reduce your technical debt, as it says here in the middle, you need to understand, is it actually worth it? And what will be the financial impact from it? And what will be the benefits? And what will be the cost? Yeah. So in order to make then on the strategic portfolio management side an informed decision around, does it make sense? Yeah. You need to have this understanding. And you also need to have a business case typically. Yeah. So if you ask for a project budget, you need to justify it also from a financial perspective to the CFO. And therefore, you also need to then predict the future run cost. Yeah. And then basically in the strategic portfolio management side, you will then make a decision, okay, let's run this project, let's run whatever application rationalization or certain modernization projects or whatever. And as a result out of this, you will get a project funding or a spend limit for a project. And then this will be loaded together with the projects into sfinx. And then in sfinx, you will do your project budgeting. You will connect it with the actuals and the forecasting so that you can track the actual execution of the project. So are you online and are you on track with this? And then once the project is completed, you then calculate the TCO for the service again. And then you can track it over time. Well, according to the business case, you had an expectation that the cost for a service, for a certain application, or for a certain capability should change. And then you can actually track it if it really happens. Yeah. And as we are linking this to the ledger system, yeah, which is the only source of truth, this becomes highly relevant for the CFO and for the CIO and the senior management community, because it's really aligned to the official financial reality. And we have oftentimes seen that there is, let's say, certain application owners having their own spreadsheet around their costs, or project managers having their own spreadsheets around their budgets and the tracking of the cost, and then they're manually filling in the cost values in the project management systems, for example. And we are calling this calculatory or funny money cost figures, because they don't necessarily reconcile with the financial reality. And in order for this to be acceptable and to really drive accountability and make it relevant for the C-suite, you need to have this alignment. And this is the gap that we want to close with sfinx, that we have one reliable source, but that we are also addressing, let's say, the typical pain points of the controllers and the daily activities of the controllers' work when it comes to budgeting, forecasting, and controlling on an operational daily basis. Good. And then when we look into the key differentiators, because we know there's quite some solutions out there in the market, why do we say, hey, there's still room for sfinx? And as mentioned before, we have worked over the last 15 years in the TBM and IT finance space, and we have made our own experiences, let's say, good and bad, what was good and what was not so good. So we believed we not only need a different technology on ServiceNow, but we also need a different way of working and a different way of how financial, or how finance and cost are managed on the IT side. Yeah. So therefore, we developed things with a different concept in mind, with a strong focus on leveraging the synergies of the ServiceNow platform and the different modules, but especially paying attention to automating the finance routines, which we believe other solutions in the market are not currently doing as much as they could. And we also provided or developed an innovative approach on how can we provide service cost transparency in a way that reduces complexity. Yeah, because many of the solutions out there, and when you look at the service costing capabilities, they are highly complex. Yeah, and overall, this then leads to a solution where you not only look at the technology, but you look at it in a consistent way, also from a financial perspective, which then makes it, we call it here, a one-stop shop or a one-stop cockpit for all including the CIO, because the CIO and the senior management is highly interested not only in the technology stuff, but of course also in the cost. And we believe that we drive or we can provide here a solution that is highly accepted in the market. And we have seen this now from the demand that we have seen so far and the request for that solution. And then on the other side, we have the technology differentiators. So being part of the ServiceNow family brings a lot of advantages with it. So we then act from a single system of truth. We have a seamless integration with the existing modules that are out there, if they are there. So sfinx can run standalone, but if you connect it to the existing modules, it's even better. We have less interfaces, and it's typically also cheaper than having an additional third-party solution on top for the finance management. And many of the users in the IT community are already experienced in ServiceNow. They're already users. So when you now complement that view with the financial information, you can have a unified user experience. And the adoption is typically lower because the people are already and the users are already accustomed to the ServiceNow setup, the look and feel, and everything else. And last but not least, and we have seen it in the first presentation today, ServiceNow is ever evolving. We talked about Now Assist around new AI capabilities and so on that come from the platform out of the box. And so this is then, of course, something we from a sfinx perspective, or then you as a potential user of sfinx could also benefit from. Good. Then Thomas, up to you.
Yeah, thank you. As Thomas said, now we have summarized here again the better together story. Just looking at on the left side, sfinx can be run standalone, as pointed out, and brings already a lot of value in the IT financial planning and in supporting strategic decisions. Combining it with SPM brings you benefits on the project side in terms of, you have a single financial truth that is not coming from your ERP connected with your SPM. You have more straightforward funding. You can link it to your strategy. You can link your complete IT budgeting planning cycle with strategy and goals functionality you have in SPM. We have all POs and contract regarding IT costs in sfinx. So, and again, we can link them to the corresponding projects, to the corresponding demands to see how things are going, and the same applies to actuals. So we can load actuals from sfinx, which again is the argument for reduced interfaces to external systems. And long term, we are thinking about if you plan the complete IT resource supply, how we can link that with the SPM capacity and resource management. Looking on the right side, synergies for sfinx and EA. Thomas said very nicely, funny money figures, right? So we have a single financial truth for application TCO, for service TCO that is reliable. And this, as you pointed out at the beginning, is very important for making good decisions. The financial perspective is something that is currently not fully supported in decision-making for EA. And there we want to help to complement the picture. So rationalize portfolio decisions with additional financial information. Last slide, just some visual impression. We talked about this solution. Now we have some screenshots here that you just see how it looks like. We have a nice planning component in sfinx, Excel-like. Sfinx is completely built with new ServiceNow workspace technology, so very advanced UI functionalities. On the right side, in the screenshot on the right, you see our service costing module, where we really can track how costs travel to the through the service layers and understand certain things, can collect it, can condense it in a graphical very, very nicely, and the reporting in the middle. This is just for getting a visual impression. If you're interested, reach out to us and we can talk in detail about the capability.